Alrighty, brothers and sisters, welcome back to the MatchNet podcast. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. This is a special episode for y'all, straight from the heart on how to get out of a low time, a low moment, a low week, a low month, a low year, whatever it may be for you. When you're feeling down and out, how to get up. And I'm going to be sharing some personal experience. I'm going to be sharing some words from our true mother, some recent words from mother, and also some classic older words from true mother. And let's start with this photo. This is I believe objectively the best photo of true parents. It just brings a smile to my face. It's kind of the embodiment of the relationship that I want with my wife. And when I see it, it's just like, I got you, I trust you, I love you. That's the kind of feeling I get from this photo. So if you guys are listening to the podcast and not watching on YouTube, it's a photo of true father hugging true mother, and mother is smiling, and true father is closing his eyes in deep gratitude. So, okay, here we go. So maybe perhaps y'all have, let's back up a bit. This is the podcast for single folks who are preparing well for marriage and for the blessing. And so if that's you, I want to welcome you and encourage you guys to follow, subscribe. We just do this to help as much as possible get people ready for the blessing and feeling confident. And appreciate all the feedback. I appreciate all the listeners here. And if that's you, then please stick around, and also feel free to share this with somebody that you love if you benefit from it. Actually, do share it with somebody in your life, whether you have a parent, matching supporter, your brother, sister, your matching partner, your spouse. Who else is there in the universe? Your neighbor, maybe, that can benefit from these words, then please do so. Okay, so specifically, if you guys have been feeling low due to whatever life happens, let's back up a bit. Okay, so this year, 2025, I'm sure that none of you know this. If you do know this, please reach out to me and tell me. But this year, 2025, is the peak of solar activity. It is considered the solar maxima, which means that the sun is most active every 11 years. And this year, in particular in June, this entire year is peaking in solar activity. Why is this important? Because scientists, people have been tracking the correlation between solar activity and human behavior. Something to do with the magnetic fields of the sun and the earth affects human behavior and psychology a lot, so much so that the Renaissance, Industrial Revolution, all of these things, great things and terrible things in world history have occurred during peak solar activity. All right, it's very fascinating. You guys can look into it if you want. And so I found this out because I was just curious. I was learning about solar maximas, and I was like, okay, when is the next one? Turns out it's right now. So that's cool. So what does that mean for us, guys? It means that everything's going to be turned up a notch. Everything's going to go wild. Everything's going to go crazy. It's not to fear induce for you guys, but it's really to help y'all get excited about the potential, the human innovation and genius that is going to be portrayed and produced this year for your own life. You can make this year the absolute best year of your life, or the probably, maybe, hopefully not, maybe a very difficult year. And so I'm making this kind of as context for you. If you have been having a rough year so far, or a rough few years, then perhaps it's because of feeling unworthy, feeling shameful, feeling maybe guilt about yourself, about your past. Maybe you're feeling unloved, unworthy. Perhaps you're feeling things are going on in your life. Maybe you've just experienced a lot of stress through work, right? That's stressful. Or through school, tests and whatnot. That's stressful. Maybe you're battling an addiction or a behavior that you loathe and you hate, but you still go back to it, and it conflicts with your values and your faith. Perhaps you are feeling physical sickness, maybe a seasonal sickness, but actually maybe even chronic. You've experienced chronic pain or sickness in your physical body, and that's caused you to feel emotionally low, and perhaps that's the case, right? Maybe you've been in a matching process or relationship recently that didn't work out as you were hoping or expecting. And, there's quite a few people I'm talking with that were really, really hoping to go to the blessing in April, this coming April 2025, and matching processes didn't work out, and there's a lot that they're going through. So You're not alone. That's what I'm saying here is people go through stuff. Lo and behold, I myself I had a pretty rough week. I'd say 3 weeks ago now, and the entire week was off the back of feeling sick. I was sick. There's this weird virus going around. I don't know if it's COVID. I don't really care, honestly. I was like about to do the COVID test, and I was like, you know what? If I'm sick, I'm staying home anyways. If I know it's COVID, it's not going to help me. Actually, it's probably going to hinder me more if I know it's COVID, because I'm probably going to be more sick because of placebo. If you guys don't know what placebo is, it's a real medical thing that doctors have to account for in diagnosis and treatment, because it's so real. It's basically fundamentally how powerful your brain is, and such that if you believe you have a sickness, you're more likely to have the symptoms of that sickness. And it is unbelievable, the stories, real stories of people getting placeboing their themselves to sickness and also to health, right? And that's just to say, without to make things scary or whatever, that's all to say that the mind is so powerful. The mind is so much more powerful than we know. It's so much more powerful than the body, so much so that you can actually change your physical body and health and chemicals and hormones through your mind alone. And to me, that's really exciting more than anything. And so I was feeling sick, and I was in bed, trying to, and basically when I get sick, it's really hard for me because of the internal dialogue. It's not really about the feeling of sickness itself. It's that I have all these things going through my mind, a lot of thoughts, a lot of like an inner voice that kind of is like, you're failing, you're unworthy, you're unloved, you're not doing anything right. Right. In particular, when I'm sick, because I've got 3 young kids in our house, and my wife is downstairs. And so there's this constant back and forth between like, oh, I should rest, and oh, I should go help out. I should go engage with my kids, because I can hear them playing, sometimes fighting. Right. And so my mind is like, my heart's like, I got to go and be with them. I want to be with them. I want to engage. I want to love. I want to support. But my body's like, I just want to do nothing. Right. And so there's this constant back and forth, push and pull between my mind and my body, or my heart's desire and my physical limitations. And the unnecessary baggage and internal dialogue I have is like, oh, I'm failing. I'm failing as a father. I'm not a good father because I'm not, engaging with them. I'm just lying down here sick. I'm such a weakling. All this internal chatter. And before you say anything, guys, I know that's all BS. I know it's all false. I know it's all that devil on my shoulder that's got his foot on my throat, that's saying this stuff. It's that inner demon that's just a feeling that's emerging from me at this moment. And I know that because I'm wise enough to know that at the moment I'm like, okay, this is not accurate. I'm sick. I literally should rest. I shouldn't actually engage with him, right? But even so, right? You guys know this very well, especially if you've had low times. You know the right thing to do. You know this is not healthy. You know what you want, but you don't do it. Okay? So I'm going to outline these steps, the actual steps that I use, that I encourage you guys to use to get out of a low time, to get yourself up, to move, to do things, and to be productive and get your life back. All right? And I'm not going to make this some, mumbo jumbo, do this thing first and then this thing. This is like contextual. This is big rock stuff. This is life-changing stuff. They're big concepts, but I'm going to try to break them down each as well as I can. And right, they're 4 steps. And then we're going to go into True Mother's words because it's related to these steps. Okay. Step 1 is, if you want to change, if you want to get up after being down, if you want to be different, whatever you want in your life, however you want to be different, however you want to grow and change, you have to, number 1, have the will to change. What do I mean by that? You have to want to change. You have to feel like almost like a passionate, unending, fiery desire to just be different. And it's not that you hate yourself. I'm not saying you should hate yourself, but you should hate with a fiery passion a certain part of you that you don't agree with and is not me. To pinpoint this behavior, whatever thought patterns you have, and be like, this is not me. And call it whatever you want. I don't care, guys. The devil, Satan, fallen nature, the enemy, your ego, whatever the heck it is, you pinpoint and say, I'm sick of this. I'm sick of you. Look at that thing right in the mirror. Like, this is not me. This is not the true me. It's not. And it's not you. Those emotions and those feelings that are in your head that make you feel lower, lesser than, unworthy of the blessing of a spouse, that you can't, that you will never be. They're not you. They're not true. They're not remotely true. And when you can, number one, just identify it and say, okay, I'm going to take a step back and pinpoint this. What you've immediately done is you've gone most of the distance, more than 80% of the distance of actually changing just by identifying it. And that is magical if you think about it. You can go most of the way of changing just by taking a step back, identifying, pointing your finger at it and saying, that's not me. That's not who I want to be. And having the will to change. All right. Here's the interesting thing, guys. When I say the will to change, I mean it because there's a part of you that doesn't want to change. Let's be real. You're battling a porn addiction. For example, you're battling food addiction. For example, call it a bad habit if you don't want to call it addiction, whatever. I don't care. You're battling the internal demon, right? That I often talk about. You're battling whatever it is. There's a part of you that likes that feeling. There's a part of you that likes to stay down, to stay in the ditch and cover yourself with dirt and mud and say, oh, woe is me, life is difficult. Why? Because that feeling is addictive. It's an addictive feeling. Because when you feel down, when you feel low, what usually follows? Well, it's a lot of very self-gratifying, very short-term solutions and short-term feelings of gratification, like social media. If you haven't noticed, you go to social media more, you go to Instagram more, you go to YouTube more, you start looking for external motivators, extrinsic motivators in order to get yourself motivated, right? You start spending more time on Netflix or watching your favorite shows, right? Which are not evil or wrong. I'm not saying that. But when you do that kind of stuff, instead of dealing with the emotions at hand, what happens is you're repeating a cycle of addiction to what? An addiction to an emotion. An addiction to an emotion. And for me, I'll tell you, in this particular week, the addiction for me was the emotion of being unworthy. I was addicted to the feeling of I'm a piece of garbage. I'm the worst. I'm terrible. And I wanted to be there. I very, very subconsciously, I might add, I wanted to be there because part of me likes it. Part of me enjoys just lying around and doing nothing and just being sorry for myself, right? And so when I say have the will to change, I mean have the will to be bigger than that, to be bigger than it, to be stronger than it. That when those emotions and feelings and thoughts come up, you notice it and you just decide, not anymore, not today. I'm changing right now, all right? And so this is what I do. You guys can take this or leave it. I literally go Super Saiyan. Okay, not literally. I imaginatorily, metaphorically go Super Saiyan, where I have a thought that comes in my head. I notice it and I'll be like, what am I doing? I'm not a terrible father. I'm not a terrible husband. I'm a good dad. Like, I am the dad that I am and I love my kids. And so what I do is I notice it and then I put my hands in the air and then I depending on where I am, I scream as loud as I can and I say, "Gah!" And I flex my back muscles like this and I put my arms down and I go Super Saiyan. And I just imagine myself going Super Saiyan, right? And it's funny to me. It always puts a smile on my face 100% of the time. And it actually, it sends a different signal to your brain. It jolts your body, it jolts your mind, and it just sends something different. And you just remind yourself, oh yeah, like I want to be different. I want to have the will to change. And I just flex my entire body and I open my mouth wide and I yell at the top of my lungs. And if I'm in a crowded place, I will just do it silently, like bite my teeth, grit my teeth, and then I will have the will to change. And I do that, you know, you could do your own version of it. I've seen people do push-ups, right? That I've talked to. I've seen people, you know, just smack themselves in the face. You don't have to be so aggressive. Maybe this is a kind of a masculine way of doing things. You can, you know, call somebody, for goodness sake. You can journal, you can talk to ChatGPT, you can whip out your notebook and write some notes to yourself. Whatever it is, guys, do something and just have a mental note that every time I'm feeling this, every time I'm low again, I'm going to have the will to change and I'm going to do something physical that jolts myself, that sends a different signal to my brain, and I'm going to be different. I'm going to be bigger than this, all right? And when you do that, what happens is that you will start noticing more and more. You'll be so obsessively aware of your own thoughts and feelings to the point where no thought or emotion goes by you without you looking at it dead in the eyes and being like, that's not who I want to be, right? Again, let's back up. I'm not saying they're wrong or bad, all right? I'm saying if you have thoughts or feelings or anything in your life that you're questioning is like, is this really good? Well, ask yourself, number one, is it accurate, those thoughts you're having? For me, is like, I'm a bad father or I'm a bad person. No, it's not accurate. It's absolutely not accurate. And number two, is it healthy? No, it's not healthy. And three, actually, most importantly, is do you want to have this thought or behavior or feeling in your life? And if you don't want it, then change it, right? And everyone's going to say, oh, it's okay to feel. No, nothing matters if you don't want it. If you don't want to be a certain way, nothing can debate that. No one can argue against that. All you have to say is, I don't want to. And I said this before, but like people ask me if I drink alcohol, my answer since I was a teenager was no. And they ask why. And I say, because I don't want to. And it immediately ends the conversation because there's nothing they can say at all to argue against that. It's like, I don't want to. Why don't you want to? Because I don't want to. End of conversation. And so you can use this line of thinking in your own life because it's fundamentally the single thing that is different between human beings and animals, that God gave us their free will to choose, to want something, to have preference, to be something, to choose ultimately to be a loving person. We can choose to love. And it is the thing that is different between us and everything else in the galaxy and the universe, is that we can choose what we want, and it's up to us to decide what we want to do with our free will. And it's a beautiful thing, but it's also a scary thing. It's a beautiful thing and it's a scary thing. Okay, so that's number one. Have the freaking will to change, to get up and say, I don't want to be this anymore, to look at yourself every day and say that. Step two, this is getting good, guys, all right? If you dig this, please let me know. Please send me a message or an email. Letting me know that you got something from this. Also, do share it with somebody. The only reason I do this stuff, by the way, is to help people. So go ahead and share it with somebody that you want to help. Okay, number two, step two. After you've had the will to change, you need to get present. Get present. I know everyone's going to say this. Get present. Just do it. Easier said than done. Let me say this. The reason that you are feeling in a low state for whatever physical, emotional low it is, whatever it is, sickness, death even, the reason you're here is because you're not present, because you're making the past or the future mean something. You're being resentful or angry about the past, or guilty or shameful because of the past, or you're feeling anxious or stressed about the future. And these emotions are seeping into your heart and you're unable to be present. That's what's going on. And so it is fundamentally impossible to change and truly, truly be happy, to be away and bigger than these emotions unless you get present. It's the only way. It's the only way. It's the only way to experience God. It's the only way to experience Chanogok in your own life, in your own heart, even though everything else in the world is chaos, even though God seems dead from a maybe external perspective, humanistic perspective. The only way to really experience true joy and peace and happiness and God and all that stuff you want in your life, no matter who you are, where you are, is to be present, is to be here. It's to just be here. And stop letting the future dictate your emotions or the past make you resentful, angry, guilty, etc. Stop that. All right? Stop. How do we get present? How do we get present? I'll give you I'll go into this. I'm going to give you some steps for this, right? All right. To get present, I would say maybe it's a two-part process. For me, if you want the physical stuff, like how to do it, the best thing to do is to start with your physical environment and your body, right? So what I like to do, just my preference, I like to focus on my breathing. I like to pay attention to my breathing, because what happens is when you pay attention to how you're breathing, your breath slows down and you start to just notice what's going on around you. And when you get like that, you can start noticing how your body's feeling. And so I like to focus on different areas of my body, my hands in particular, because your hands have many nerve sensors, right? Many nerves, and you can feel your hands. So if you just lay your hands down right now, guys, right now, as we're speaking, as we're doing this, let's do it together. Have a little meditation with Uncle Benji. Put your hands down, and you can start to feel your hands tingle a little bit. You can feel your hands tingling, right? That's life. That's life. That's energy, because your attention is there. Your focus is on your hands, and now your focus is not on your emotions or the past or the future. It's just on your hands, and then you can start to extrapolate that feeling into your arms, into your different parts of your body, your entire body, your head, right? Your mouth, your brain, everywhere. And then, so when you're in that state of just kind of feeling present, you'll not start noticing a lot of the emotions or fears will start to dissipate and diminish until you're more present. Okay. And here's the kicker with presence is that when you're present, you can feel a specific emotion that is one of the highest states of human state of being. You know what it is? There's a lot of them, actually. There's a few. Love, right, comes to mind. Feeling in love with myself, life, the God, everyone around me, people. Feeling blissfulness. That's actually my favorite word, I think, is bliss, because it is an implied gratitude and kind of peacefulness. The feeling that I think is very important when you're trying to get out of a state of low is gratitude. Okay, gratitude, and that's where your mother's words come in. All right. Yeah, let's go to gratitude. Your mother says this. This is recent. All right, 2024 November, a few months ago. The reason I observe the Thanksgiving holiday is because I wish for all of you to become blessed families who can be grateful to heaven for everything. Seek heaven's mercy and realize heaven's dream. As a chosen people, the people of Korea, you, the blessed families living today, must be aware of how history reveals the consequences people face if they do not fulfill their responsibilities. It is crucial that you fulfill your responsibilities and achieve victory. Remember, you must emerge victorious at all costs before your life comes to an end. Mother talks about gratitude very often, if you haven't noticed. And I'm going to take you back to a speech she gave, a quote she gave in 1984. She says, I have but one life goal, to live in utmost gratitude. Today, I will be more grateful than yesterday. Tomorrow, I will be yet more grateful. July 31st, 1984. That's from True Mother. Okay. So, with this said, my friends, gratitude is a misnomer, I believe, because we don't understand the difference between conditional gratitude and unconditional gratitude. All right. It's not enough to just say, oh God, I'm so grateful for my health, right? Which sounds great. Put a pin on that for a second. Or, oh God, I'm so grateful for my school. I'm so grateful that I got into this university, my job. I'm so grateful for the money I have. All these things are great. It's really important. But if we miss the essence of what unconditional gratitude is, then we are always living in a state where our gratitude is finite and can fizzle within a second. All right. Conditional gratitude is I'm only grateful because I have this thing or this thing exists. Unconditional gratitude is interesting. It's a state of absolute gratitude for just the moment. It's hard to describe. It's not even for my life. Like people will say like that's the ultimate form of gratitude is just to be alive, right? What if you're not alive? And this is interesting because it's where spirituality and afterlife and your soul come into place. Is imagine what if it would be like if we could be eternally grateful just for being, not alive, for being, for existing. And when you're in the state where you've had the will to change, you've gotten present, right? You stop worried about the future or the past, and you're trying to feel grateful. Imagine what it would be like if you could just be grateful for being. When you can think about the fact, well, depends on who you ask or which study you look at, the fact that the chances of you being alive today, right? People have tried to put a numeric chance of you being alive as you today. The chances of you being alive here today are about 400 trillion to 1. 400 trillion. The chances of you, the little sperm, making it into the egg as you and becoming and developing as you, and this time in history as you, with your consciousness and you, your spirit and your soul are well beyond once in 400 trillion of a chance. 400 trillion. There's no chance. There's no chance that you would be conscious today as you. And yet here you are. Here you are. Being. Just existing. Just having a spirit, having a soul. Being able to experience life and to be able to go to the afterlife and spirit world. To be able to experience God fully. That in another universe, in another instance, you would not have experienced. Period, end of story. You wouldn't be here. There's no chance in heaven or hell that you would exist. You would have any existence. Spiritual, physical, mental, emotional, anything, any of it. There's no chance in hell. But here you are. Here you are and here I am. And I think that's enough. That should be enough for us just to say, oh my goodness, unconditionally grateful for just to be able to be grateful, just to be able to think, just to be able to process these words and to sit here, to think, to have a mind, to have a spirit, unconditional gratitude, to have a God that loves us so much that would give us the free will. It's amazing. It's incredible. And that's enough. And all the other gratitude is supplemental, extra. Grateful. You can be grateful for your health. You can be grateful for your school. You can be grateful for your money. You can be grateful for your kids, for your, maybe you don't have kids, for your blessing, for your parents, for whatever, everything. You can be everything. Go ahead. Go crazy. But if you're missing the unconditional gratitude of just being you, to be you, not the you that tries to be something else, that works hard and tries whatever. Not that you, not the superficial you. I'm talking about the you that you don't even see. You're a you that you don't even understand and only God sees and understands. There's a soul in you that wants to experience life, to be better, to have the will to experience everything that life has to offer. There's a you that is beyond what you currently understand. There's a you that in me, a soul in me that I don't even understand. I don't see. You don't know you. I was talking with a brother a few weeks ago and he was like, oh, I just want to be myself. I'm trying to be myself. And I was like, son, you don't know who you are. You can't be yourself. It's a misnomer. Don't try to be yourself. As soon as you try to be yourself, you're failing because you don't know who you are. All you have to do is be the real you. And that's a process of figuring out. But all this supplemental baggage and thoughts, and I need to do this, I should get a house, I should go to school, I should do this, I should be better, I should make more money. All this stuff, supplemental baggage. Sure, important at times, yes. Yes, you should plan for the future. Yes, you should remember the past, right? I'm not saying that you should forget the future and forget the past. I'm saying that at times that's important, but you spend a disproportionate amount of time on your past and thinking about the future and getting anxious about things that are to come or not to come. You spend way too much time thinking about it, obsessing over your financial situation. Because what if this happens? What if that happens? Obsessing over relationships in the past and things that didn't work out. Obsessing over stresses in your life and feeling overwhelmed, and you're sacrificing the ability to just experience God in the present moment and just say, all right, surrender. I surrender. God, I love that word. Surrender, besides blissful, is my favorite word. Surrender. Because it's the hardest thing for me to do in my life. In my family, I'm the breadwinner. I do everything for our family. I take home the money. I work hard. I have control over our entire family's future, right? And it's really hard for me to surrender and let go of control when things don't go according to how I want them to go. It's hard for me to do. But I'm obsessed with this word surrender because it implies that we are not even going to try to control. We're just like, you know what? There are times where I want to plan, yes, but if I've set the plan, I'm just going to surrender. I'm going to let go of control, and I'm just going to accept, like fully, beautifully accept what life has to offer, whatever the outcome is. I will accept that gracefully, graciously, and I will move forward. Accept, fully accept. Guys, you guys are preparing for marriage. Let me tell you an eternal life hack, all right? Many times when people are struggling in their marriage, they come to me and explain, et cetera, which is very insightful, very wise of people. And I sometimes will say the same thing that I tell them, which is you're having conflict with your spouse, with your wife, and eventually you will have to accept everything about her. Think about that. Eventually you will have to accept absolutely everything about your spouse. Everything. Everything. Eventually, you'll be on your deathbed, or she will, and you're going to, at that moment, have to accept everything that she is and isn't. All right? You're going to have to accept everything fully, without reservation. Why don't you go ahead and start that process now? It's like, oh, well, she should change. Yes, of course we should change. Of course we should be better, do better. Of course. And I know it's ego. The ego is so big in couples. It's like, oh, but she needs to change. He needs to do better. Yeah, of course. You can encourage them to change and to be better, but you can also simultaneously, guess what? Fully love them and accept them. This is who you are. And there's a part of you that you don't see yet, and I don't see yet, that is to come into fruition. That is to blossom over time. And it is arrogant to think that I know how you should be, spouse, parent. I know what's best for you, child. It's arrogance. And so take a step back and say, if you're going to have to accept someone fully eventually, which you will, whether it's 10 years from now or 80 years from now, you will have to accept them 100% of everything they are. So you might as well do that now and just have the will to say, you know what? I accept and I surrender to whatever it is that I don't see. And I accept that. That is what I accept. And so my wife and I, gosh, man, we've been together for almost 15 years. This year, 15-year anniversary. I wish I had thought about this. I wish I had somebody tell me this. Just accept her. Stop trying to manipulate and control your life, your future, and who she is and how she dresses and how she acts and talks. Stop it. She is who she is. And you don't see that. She doesn't see that. Nobody sees that. God sees that. But there's a beautiful soul in there that you don't see yet. And if you try to change it, you're going to be sacrificing the moments that you'll have with her. If you try to change your parents, you will sacrifice the moments that you have with them on this beautiful earth and this beautiful life that is very finite, by the way. If you try to change your kids, you will sacrifice the opportunity to just be present with them and to enjoy them. And so when I'm raising my kids, I tell myself this all the time, is I don't know what's best for them. I don't. I have a general direction that I'm guiding them. I don't know what's best for them. And I'm sick and tired of me trying to control their lives and tell them what's right and wrong and being sure of myself and arrogant and egotistical. I'm sick and tired of being that way. And I've just decided I don't know what's best for them. And as long as I'm trying to change their spirit, their little souls that God has created that I don't understand yet. They don't understand. If I'm trying to change that part of them, then I'm not seeing something, and I'm going to sacrifice the ability to just be with them and to enjoy them. And so I'm not doing that anymore. You guys can't do it anymore. When you're blessed in the future, you can't do that. Promise me you will not try to change who they are fundamentally. Let me emphasize this again. You should encourage each other to grow and to change. If someone has an addiction, for example, you don't just accept that they have an addiction. No, if someone has destructive behaviors, obsessive use on the phone, etc., you don't just accept it. You tell them straight, and you can still love them and accept them. That this is where they are right now, This is who they are right now. And I'm going to work with them day by day. And the emotions start coming in when you start to, guess what? Extrapolate stuff into the future. It's like, oh, what if he's always addicted to porn for our entire marriage? What if she's always addicted to her phone, or whatever? What if she's always angry and resentful about the past? It's because you're extrapolating things into the future. You're not being present. That's it. Funny story. My wife started getting into Instagram for like a few weeks, and I started noticing that. And I, with a smile on my face, I took her phone from her. I deleted Instagram, the app from her phone. I said, "You're not going to be on Instagram anymore." Smile on my face. And she's like, okay, like that, right? Why? Because I'm the protector of our family. I protect this family. And I don't want some algorithm, some influencers teaching my wife or my children stuff that is not of value, that I don't want in my house. Period. End of story. All right. And the funny thing is, you guys might feel like, oh, that's so aggressive and mean. She is proud of this. She tells her friends. She's like, yeah, I was on Instagram and my husband, my loving husband. No, she doesn't talk like that. She's like, yeah, Benji came and he deleted it. It's kind of like a joke, right? It's funny because I'm the protector of our family. My kids don't spend any time on the internet. They spent 0 time on the internet. 10, 8, 2 years old. Most kids, by the way, in the world, by the time they're 10 years old, have their own device, are spending unrestricted time on the internet. None of it. And then I was like, oh, well, you got to let your kids explore the. No, why? Says who? Says who? I would rather my kids experience life without a screen as opposed to living life on a screen. Revolutionary, mind-blowing, none of it. None of it. Okay, so third step here, I'm going to get to number 4, but third step here is to feel utmost gratitude to mother. As emphasized this point, I think there's a very smart and wise reason as to this, because when you're grateful, you can experience God. The premise of gratitude, think about it. The premise of gratitude is that you are receiving something. It's you received something. So what are you receiving? From whom? From whom are you receiving this something? And then all of a sudden, your mind goes to God. I'm grateful because of God. This divine energy and spirit, universal prime energy, whatever you call it, guys, the heavenly parent that is watching over me, that is holding me through life. I'm grateful for that entity. And that's true gratitude. And when mother tries to making gratitude her number 1 priority in her life, I think it has paid off, because I think she has a unique relationship with God that no one can understand. I mean, we all do, but her relationship with God and Heavenly Parent is special. And I think that it's what has been the impetus for her life, is just feeling that gratitude. All right, step 4 for you guys. All right, you digging this? Step 1, have the will to change. Step 2, get present. Just get present. Number 3, feel gratitude. And number 4, it's quite simple. String together more days just like that. It takes 1 day to change your life forever. Why? Because if you can have 1 day of just intense presence and gratitude, you can have 1 week, right? Yes. If you can have 1 week, a great week, then you can have a great month, right? Yes. If you can have a great month, you can have a great year, right? Yes. If you can have a great year, guess what? You can have a great 10 years, right? Yes. If you can have a great 10 years, you can have a great lifetime. So in other words, guys, if you can have a phenomenal day, 1 day, tomorrow, make tomorrow the best day ever, to make the tomorrow just the day where you're present, no matter what's going on chaotically in your external environment. You determine to have the will to be present, to be grateful and focused on whatever you're doing today. And then you string together that the next day and the next day, because it takes 1 great day to have a great life. It takes 1 great day to have a great life. That's it. That's it. And for me, this is the motto of my life, is that I'm going to make tomorrow the best day ever. I'm not going to think about making a great year. I don't make New Year's resolutions. I never have my entire life. Why? Because I think if you need to wait for a new year or a new month or a new week to make a resolution, it means you didn't care enough about the resolution in the first place. You didn't have the grit to do it in the first place. You didn't have the motivation or drive to do it. And so you probably won't, which is why most people fail at their New Year's resolutions. If you're going to determine to do something, you start today and you make today that day. You just make it today and you string together enough of those days until you have a fantastic week, month, year, and lifetime. And that's it. That is really it. I think this is so simple, but no one talks like this. No one I've ever heard anyone talk of the idea that if you can have one perfect, not perfect, one day according to the way that you want to be on that day, you can be an entire person your entire life. Emphasis on being the way you want. That is one thing you can control day by day. In one moment, you can control who you are as a person, how you're feeling, how you're being, how you're showing up in life. That is one thing that absolutely you can have control over today. You can just decide to have the will. I'm going to be surrendering. I'm going to be grateful. I'm going to be happy. I'm going to be ecstatic. I'm going to be energized. I'm going to be connected, right? If you're battling loneliness, maybe you're feeling lonely because people are getting blessed left and right, matched left and right. Like, I'm not going to be lonely. I'm going to be connected. I'm going to be connected with people, with my family, with God, more so than those married people. You can make that your thing. You're not going to feel emotionally low anymore. You're going to feel energized. You're going to feel on top of the world. You're not going to feel sick anymore, physically sick or nauseous or anything. You're going to feel powerful and have perfect health. For example, you're not going to feel stress and overwhelm. You're going to feel excitement. You're not going to feel anxiety about the future. You're going to feel excitement about the future, excitement about the things that are to come in the next month and year. You can do that all day by day. That's it. That's all I'm asking you guys to do. All right. So to wrap this up, I hope you dig this. If it's helpful for you guys, please let me know. I do like hearing from you, and also share it with one person. I just ask you to share it with one person in your life that could use this message that you care about. That's it. All right. God bless you all from my life. Peace.